Badass UK podcast. Here we are very late on a Sunday night, Monday morning, and I've spent the whole weekend trying to get Dungeonworld ready to run, and it's been a bit of a challenge this week, so I thought I'd do a quick podcast. The game is now running in the background, and people are already messaging me on Facebook saying, are the turns coming soon, Steve? Well, it's going to take about 2 hours to run, about another hour to produce the printouts for the NVE, so I would guess probably about 5-6 a.m. I should have it ready to produce the NVE turns, and I'll put them up there for people to get, and the American turns will go over to Kerry in the USA then. And then all that remains is to build the PDFs, which takes about another 4 hours, so they'll be tomorrow morning sometime. But it gives you an idea how long it all takes. And what's made it so hard this week? Well, first of all, a combination of things. As you know, I've been doing chat rooms and taking suggestions for improvements to characters and the new things for estates and new things for traders. And when I designed Dungeonworld, the idea originally was that it would be a game, it would work, and that I wouldn't add a lot to it. But that quickly changed, because it became clear to me that for a game to grow and to survive, new things had to appear all the time. You know, everybody gets bored of games when they play the same things, and the same things always happen. They fight the same monsters, everything looks the same, and it was necessary, I think, for the game to have a long lifespan. That didn't happen, and it's obviously worked, because here we are 20 years later and the game's still going strong. So outlasted all its rivals and most major release computer games. To be honest with you, a lot of people would like to say, how on earth do you get a game that still people are playing 20 years later? I mean, you know, some people have played it most of their lives. So that's how it goes, you know, most of their adult lives anyway. And that's because for the last 20 years, I and other staff members, when I've had them in the past, have continually added stuff to this game. We had monsters, we had items, we had areas, we had regions, we had character types, we had adventure paths, we had terrain types, we had skills, we had new character types. Anything that I can think of, really, constantly adding to the game. It's constantly grown, and it is now, you know, it now represents half of my life's work. Bit sad, I suppose, for some people who go off and write War and Peace or whatever. And what have I done? I've worked on a fantasy adventure game that, but a lot of people get fun out of this game. This is a game that a lot of people, it's their hobby. It's what they do for fun. It's what they do to talk to people and to play games when they've perhaps got a busy work life and nobody they know plays games. And this is a way for them to still play games, even though, you know, they're not surrounded by a circle of friends who like the same things they like. And a lot of people I've had people who've met their partners and got married in the game, and I've had people who started playing the game when they were in prison and then were released from prison and have told me the game kind of kept them sane and let them walk the straight and narrow and come out and change their lives. And there's a lot of good stories associated with what is really just a game to bash monsters and steal their stuff. So I'm quite proud of it. But along the way, I realised adding that much stuff was going to introduce bugs. And you know, you simply cannot, particularly not when you're working on your own, but I think even if I was a team of 50, bugs would still happen, and I have to try and do all of this on my own, test it all on my own, put it out there, all in a live game. I don't have a dummy version of the game that I can use to test things. Everything I'm doing is in the live version of the game. When I add new stuff, it's live. And so I've got a few checks and balances for that. One of the things I do is I add things with a don't implement flag. Basically, it means that it's in there, it's working, but players don't see it until I'm ready, or they see it in a limited fashion. And then a couple of times, even that has introduced bugs, because I've forgotten to turn on the thing that implements the item, and so I thought I've added a load of new stuff, and then a year later everyone is like, what happened to that new stuff you said you were adding? And I think, I did that. And then I think, well, did I? Because I work a lot on this game, a lot, and sometimes that can be hard to remember what you've done. You know, when you're working, you know, 30 hours a week on a game for your whole life, or half your life, you know, most of your adult life, it can be easy to think you've done things you haven't, and to think you have an idea you were going to implement and not implement, or actually a lot of things I've done that I've forgotten I've done. So I was actually just testing a level the other day, and I was walking the character around it to try some new terrain ideas I was having for Middengast. And I was trying them out in a dummy map. It's put in the main game, but it's a map nobody can get to where I try things out. And I was trying it out, and I stumbled across another thing that I'd never seen, and I thought, the game doesn't do that. How's that working? And I'd accidentally used something that I made 15 years ago, and I'd forgotten, and I've never used it. So I'm gonna use it in the game now. So that'd be quite good fun. Anyway, what was I saying? So bugs happen, and when I've got as much new stuff as I've got lately, because I'm absolutely on fire at the minute, I'm taking loads of brilliant ideas from players, I'm trying to implement them fast. That does mean perhaps a higher level of usual of bugs, and in other games people would rightly criticise. They would say, don't release a game that's buggy, but Dungeonworld is a live game in constant development, so it's not much like anything else really, and I think players come to understand that does mean bugs are something that happens, and I always fix them straight away. If you tell me about them in a bug report, which you do on the website, I fix them the next turn. I almost never fail to fix them next turn. There was an odd occasion where one is so tricky I can't. And one of the problems I sometimes run into is, in the past I've had other people work for me, and back when the game was still growing and I could afford things differently and things were different in life, I had some staff and they worked on the game as well as me, and I used to give them a lot of free rein to be creative and do their own things, and some of the fascinating and interesting parts of the game were created by people who weren't me, and I didn't micromanage them. I liked to know what was going on, and they would give me a weekly report, which wasn't always accurate, and I didn't find that out till later, but these people worked on the games many hours, hundreds of hours, and sometimes if there's a bug in something old that someone else did, I can't fix it because I don't even know what it's meant to do. It's like it's got some weird name, and it doesn't seem to point to anything. And when I write the soft code, when I work in the editors, there's lots of places to leave notes, and I leave copious notes for myself so that if I have to go back and look something 8-9 years later, I can get a good gist of what's going on. And I also always do things in the same pattern. There's lots of tools in the game, but I use the same combos of tools, and so I know my style, if you like. But other people who've worked on the game have developed their own styles within the complex set of tools, so they didn't leave notes, they used a style I don't familiar with, they named everything in a weird way, and I don't know what their intention was. So here I am looking at this kind of weird map somebody made that's never had a bug in 10 years, and then somebody says, I'm in the Chamber of Forgotten Slaves, and the wall straps say that you can pull on them and they will open the secondary bell, but the secondary bell isn't opening, and I don't even know what the secondary bell is. I don't know what the wall straps are. I don't know what the Chamber of Forgotten Slaves is. I'm making these names up, by the way, but you get the gist of it. I don't have a clue what they were trying to do. So then I've got to either say to the player, look, it's old, go somewhere else, right? I don't like doing that, but I've done it once or twice when it's so complex and mostly works and he's the only person there and there's no one else for miles. I will sometimes say that, or I've got to kind of bludgeon my way through it and just guess what I think they might have been doing, which is probably wrong, but who's ever going to know, and kind of design my own thing over the top of it so it works. So when I've got a time like this now when I'm adding loads and loads of stuff and I'm working on all different things, I can't isolate it. I can't be like, okay, I'm going to do this work on Elven Warrior Maidens, add all the new stuff bit by bit. I can do some of it, the easy ones, but the more complex bits I can't do straight away. Some of it I can't just introduce like that because the game is running and people will say, why is my Elven Warrior Maiden suddenly doing this? So I've got to do some sort of rule change to it. And I tend to be, I'm always working on 12 different projects. That probably isn't ideal, but it's just the way I am. I flip from thing to thing. I get my best work done when I'm in a flurry of energy. And so I'll kind of go in and I'll work on loads of different things, and I'll get bored of that and I'll do this, and I leave notes. I know pretty much where I'm up to, but sometimes there's a stray string dangling and somebody would be, I've tried to do this and this isn't working, and I remember I got up to that point and didn't quite finish it because I went to do this and got sidetracked. It's who I am, I'm afraid. But it's made quite an interesting game, so it's got its ups and downs. But So what have I been doing? So this weekend I've been trying to tidy up some of the lost threads of the bits and pieces I've been adding, which has taken me on a wild goose chase all over the place. And coupled with that, for some reason, people who want me to do things for them, who really could send me the messages much earlier after their last turn, wait till the last 3 days to send me a great mountain of messages every single time. And I'm also at the same time getting all my Madhouse USA stuff because I post-box the game in the USA. Another GM runs the game there for me, but it's still the same game. And so Kerry Harrison, Madhouse USA, will send me a load of notes, but by the nature of Americans, they're mostly playing by postal play, because if they are email players, they tend to play just directly with Madhouse UK. So it's the American postal players who are playing with Madhouse USA, and because of the slow speed of getting the turns out to them and them getting their orders back by post, Kerry never gets his stuff till the last few days either. So I get 30 messages from Kerry of things I've got to do, and some of them are simple: change the name of this guy, delete this guy, add these 2 characters. That's all easy. And some of them are quite complicated. 3 turns ago this happened, and then this happened, and now I don't know why this has happened, and can you help me fix this? And that can take quite a long time to sort out. It might be, you might lose an hour just looking at the old turns to see if he or she is right about what happened. And invariably they aren't, because they haven't given me all the information, or they haven't had my privileged position of being able to see top down what's going on, so they've guessed what they think has happened and aren't quite right. So I had an interesting one, to give you an example. I had one today where somebody said, what was it that didn't work? Somebody said that they had been trying to use a ring of teleport to friend. Now the ring of teleport to friend, what it does is it lets you teleport to a friend. So you've got a limited number of uses of it, and your character can jump to where one of your other character, someone else is. And in Dungeonworld, mostly you've got to walk for miles and miles. It takes a long time to get places. So teleports like this are really useful and much sought after. And this player said, I think it's a bug. I've tried doing the order, it didn't work. Now, teleports are common teleport items commonly have bugs, because that's a complex bit of code that I have to duplicate and make small changes to make new ones. So it's easy to miss something. So it's not uncommon for there to be a bug there. And I can't test it, or it would just physically take too long. So I have to kind of do my best and hope players will tell me if I've missed something, which they do. But he said, this hasn't worked, and clearly you've given me the wrong order code. And the order code was correct, and I thought, well, what's going on here? I've definitely given you the right order code. And first of all, I thought it's because he wasn't wearing the ring, because some items you can use from your backpack without equipping them, but a ring of teleport to friend is different to that. You have to be wearing it to use it, and a number of people have fallen foul of that. They've not equipped it thinking they could use it, and then thought it was a bug when it didn't work. But it wasn't that. He was wearing the ring the previous turn. I checked and had to load up the previous turn, check it. Character was definitely wearing it. So then I checked, is the character within range? Well, you can teleport pretty much anywhere, but not outside Berony. You can't go to the other kingdoms. But no, the character was legal. There was nothing wrong with where the character was. And one of the things you've got to do when you use a ring of teleport to friend is you have to the character you're teleporting to has to first give an order that says, yes, I'm prepared to let someone teleport to me. The reason for that is to prevent players from being able to teleport to someone, kill them and disappear, which is kind of unfair and unbalancing in the game. So you have to prove they're your friend by them first giving an order saying, I'm willing to accept to teleport this turn, and then after that you can teleport them. Now what this player was doing, quite a subtle error but a common error, is he was issuing on phase 1. So for players who don't know, there were 15 phases in the game. That's the order in which you do things. In phase 1, his character had issued the order, yes, I will let you teleport to me. And then the other character had, in phase 1, issued the order, I want to teleport to you. Here's the problem. The game runs everything in an order, and the rulebook does explain this. So all the phase 1s don't happen simultaneously. What happens is the computer picks one player number, one character number. Let's say it's character 1, for argument's sake. It could be any number, but let's say it's character 1. And then it decides whether it's going to count up or count down randomly, 50-50. So let's say, for argument's sake, it's going to count up. So that means it starts at character 1 and it goes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to the final character 28,000 or something. And it does each one of their order ones in that order. So if instead it had chosen to start at character 650 and count down, then it would go 650, 649, 648. And when it gets to character 1, it jumps to the very top and counts back down to where it started. So it's either going up in a loop or down in a loop. But either way, that's how it decides who it's going to calculate. So if you have a character that's got to do an accept order before you can teleport to them, then really the best way to do it is to have them do it on phase 1, and then your character do the teleport on any later phase, phase 2 onwards, 2 through 15. But if you both do it on phase 1, you're taking a gamble. Because depending on which random number is picked and depending on which way it counts, either one of them might come before the other. So if your guy says, I'm teleporting to you, and then the other guy says, okay, that's alright, too late. Because he has to say it before he teleports. That's how it works. And that's where he was going wrong. He thought it wasn't working, but it was just because he'd done both things on the same phase, and it really is a very common error. So I wasn't particularly surprised. Excuse me. I got this from Costa today. It's massive gold shiny bling thermal mug, and it's got tea in it, my favourite biscuit tea. Brilliant actually. Me and my son got one, and they keep the tea hot for so long. They're really good thermal mugs, but also because they're metal they hold the heat better. And if you're like me and guzzle gallons of tea, I'm British, sorry anyone from elsewhere, but that's what we do. These things are a godsend. Anyway, so lots and lots of things to check and fix this turn, and I've done my best, but I absolutely know this is going to be a higher than usual bug report turn, because I'm doing so many new things and I just don't have the time and ability to test it all enough. But I take the view that it's better to try and get it in there working and have the game buzzing and have people enjoying new stuff, and have the odd person that I get, the odd really grumpy soul, God bless you grumpy souls, who are like, oh, this thing hasn't worked again. And you know, fair enough, look, you're paying to play the game, something don't work, it's frustrating, and in a perfect world it wouldn't happen, but that's how Dungeonworld works, and I think everybody really knows that at this stage, and they all keep playing and enjoying it, so I'm guessing I must be doing something right, but it's fun. Anyway, the game is running in the background at the moment. It's currently processing phase 5, and it's, just to let you know, it's on character 5,631. It's actually going much, counting down really fast. It's already 51, 50, 49, counting down through them. And it's counting downwards at the moment. Each new phase will choose a different random number and choose a different up or down. So it's completely random how it works things out, and that prevents, if you ever get a situation where it's quite competitive what's trying to achieve it, nobody's got an advantage. It's all random, and that's the reason it's done the way that it is, and it simulates quite a dynamic game environment. So what else is there? Oh yeah, I know, hold on, let me just pull up my diary. Excuse me a second, I'm just going to, because I've decided on some times for the next chat rooms. So we're going to do a Madhouse chat room this Saturday, which is Saturday the 22nd, at 7 p.m, and then another one this Sunday the 23rd, again at 7 p.m. And what we're going to be doing this time, I will get back to doing the character improvements, but we're doing something different this weekend. I'm going to answer normal questions and talk about normal stuff, so it's not all work, but the prime purpose of Saturday and Sunday is to go through pages of the rulebook. And Saturday maybe the first 10 pages, on Sunday the next 10 pages. My aim is to try and design a new rulebook for Dungeonworld. So much has changed since I made that rulebook 20 years ago, and it's had one update about 17 years ago, and then nothing since. And it really is time to reflect the changes in the game in a brand new rulebook, which I'll then turn into a free download online, all searchable PDF, and hopefully that'll be great. And I'd like your help. What we're going to do is go through and kind of say, well, this has changed, that has changed, work through it as best we can together, trying to see, you know, what needs changing in the rulebook. You'll know as well as me if you're a player, what can be taken out, what can be reworded, and we'll just kind of make some notes as we go. We'll talk about other stuff too. It's not just going to be that, but I do want to get that done, because I'm going to, if all goes well, in the next few months I'll release a new rulebook. I'll release the 4 Dungeonworld supplements that have already been published as free or very cheap, possibly downloads, maybe something like that. I've not worked it out yet. And that is Secrets of Bereni, Legends of Bereni, Mysteries of Bereni, and the other one whose name I forget for the minute, but there's 4 of them. So I'm going to have them online, and then hopefully a new 5th supplement, the first new supplement in many years, is my plan. Which might be Geography of Bereni, or might be, Geography of Myriad, which is the bigger world than Bereni, or might be People of Bereni, depending on, I haven't decided yet. I've made notes, I've made some initial notes for both versions, and they both will get done. I'm just not quite sure which one I'm going to produce first. So that's pretty much where we are. So turns running in the background. I'm doing an all-nighter tonight to make sure I get the turns out to you, because they're a little bit late. But then we'll be back on schedule again, so we should be back to our normal Friday night runtime, and everything should be good. I think that is everything. So I'll talk to you all soon. Cheers, guys.